Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about our debt-free journey overview, how much debt we started with, where that debt came from, why we started our journey, and kind of like our mentors whose steps we're following and what we're not following, what we're doing, what we're not doing. So today's a little different. And I'm going to start off saying that I am going to use a pronunciation I, we, ours, and that's because my husband is on this journey with me. Even though he's not on camera, I am. He is doing this debt-free journey with me. Our finances are together. Okay, so starting off, I want to say we started with $66,860 worth of debt. Now this amount is broken down into different categories. We had our credit card debt, car loan, well, 2 car loans, student loan debt. Now the 66, I'm gonna round up a little bit. So I'm gonna say $67,000 worth of debt was the point of which we started tracking the debt. There was times that we had debt, we were starting to do the journey, but we didn't quite track it. So June of 2019 is when we started listing all our debts, and that's when we got our number 67,000. Of that 67,000, there was 3 components. The first one are our credit card debt. So the credit card debt made up, I have my little board here. Okay, we had about $16,000 worth of debt just on credit cards. So that happened because when I was in college, I was working full time. I had almost all my expenses covered for. I think I had to pay out of pocket. No, I didn't even pay out of pocket. I got a refund. There wasn't really any time that I had to pay out of pocket. I got a grant. Okay, editing Annalisa here. So I did take out student loans for undergrad, $4,000, and the rest were for my master's degree, and that I didn't receive any scholarships for the master's degree. Scholarships, I received financial aid, and I was working. At one point I was working full time. The reason why I was living off of credit cards was because I was living beyond my means. I was eating out all the time. I was always buying Starbucks, always eating out, shopping. It was just a lot, and at the time I didn't realize it. And I remember, and it's a clear memory, I remember thinking I could buy all this clothes because I could afford the minimum payments. So I was just buying clothes and putting it on my credit card. And then I got trips. I went on trips and I didn't plan for them accordingly, so I was putting them on credit cards. Then my husband did the same thing. We put the vacation on his credit card. Our honeymoon was on his credit card. And then when we were planning our wedding, I was putting a lot of the decorations, just random decorations. I think the cake stand, I remember the photo booth was placed on my credit card, and the venue was paid out of pocket because my in-laws helped pay for it. I paid my wedding dress out of pocket, but a lot of the little accessories for the wedding was on a credit card. I don't even know how much I spent on a wedding. I have a ballpark number, but there was a lot of little things that went on the credit cards that kind of just got lost in tracking the expenses. Then I got a new car, so that was about, at the time that I started tracking the debt journey, the car debt was owed about $10,000 on the car by the time we started tracking this journey. And then another about $14,000 on a personal loan. That personal loan, okay, this is a crazy thing. The personal loan was used to pay off other credit cards. So we had another $16,000. So how much did I say before? 16 plus 16, we had $32,000 just on credit card debt. We bought furniture on it, on credit cards. So this is crazy. I'm like thinking about it even more. I just haven't reflected on these numbers in a while. And then about $27,000 on student loans. So that was the breakdown. Credit card, $16,000, a personal loan, another $16,000, my car loan, $10,000, and student loan, $27,000. So this is all rounding. And my husband's car was paid off right before we started this really tracking down our debt. But I remember we owed about $6,000 on his car, and we paid it off right before. So we had a lot of debt. Right now, we owe about $14,000, like $13,000 on my student loans. We're going on 1.5 years of almost gazelle intense. We're not exactly gazelle intense, but we are pretty intense. So that leads me into who and what type of steps are following. So we do listen to Dave Ramsey. We follow most of his baby steps. I wouldn't say we follow it to a T. We budget to eat out, because if we didn't, I think we would fall off the wagon and just let go of the plan completely, which is what happened in 2018. We were starting to follow the debt plan, and we fell off the wagon because it was just too hard. So we started budgeting to give ourselves some allowance and eating out. So we're Dave-ish. And we also listen to the Budget Mom. So I love how simple her budget videos are to follow, and seeing real life examples, and her budget workbook are all just perfect tools to use. I also like to say that how we started our journey. So I kind of mentioned it in 2018. We started the journey. We fell off the wagon, and in early 2019, my husband wanted to go back to school full time so he could start a career and kind of like pursue what he really wants to do, which is illustration. And the only way he could really do that was if we asked for a break on the rent. And we are renting from my in-laws. So my husband asked his parents if he could go back to school, and if we could get a break on the rent, we could pay half of it just for a little while, and they agreed. So for about half of the year 2019, he went back to school. The first semester, basically, he went back to school and did not work. For the first half of the year, so spring semester, summer session, he didn't work. He went to school and focused on that. And then fall of 2019, he was focused. He was working and going to school, and that's so around March. My husband was starting school. March 2019, he was going to school, and we were able to pay off all our bills. So we weren't behind on anything. Nothing went to collections. We were paying off all our bills on time. We made the rent. That was half at the time, and but that meant we had to really follow the budget. And I was looking over our numbers and going through our bank statements, and I showed my husband, like, this is really embarrassing. We're sending over $1,000 over, I think it was at that time like $14,000 on minimum payments, just on minimums, and we can't even afford the rent to pay your parents the full rent. This is embarrassing. And he saw the numbers and he's like, we have to work on this. So he started looking for a job, something that was flexible with his schedule. And so it was September of 2019, he was able to get a part-time job at a grocery store. And that's when we started to kind of like get ahead a little bit. We paid off a couple of credit cards to just get rid of the minimum payments, so we weren't as tight with the monthly budgets, and that helped us to get ahead. So we were able to pay back the full amount of rent again, plus all the minimum payments for all the credit cards, all the bills. So essentially we were living off my income, and everything from my husband that he was bringing in was going towards as an extra debt payment. And we knocked off a lot of debt in that time. And my parents also offered to pay off one of our the Discover loan. So that was about $14,000 at now, because it reduced. It was they offered to pay the Discover, and at the time that they offered to pay the Discover, it was at about $12,400. And with the Trump bucks, the stimulus package, we got $2,400, and we kind of just stored it away and waited to see how the pandemic was working out, how our jobs were going to get impacted, our hours. And fortunately, they did not affect our hours. Our hours were not affected at all at that time. So when we felt a little bit more comfortable, we took all the extra savings that we had from the stimulus package, the extra savings that we were putting, and sent it straight to my car loan, and that paid off my car, which at the time was $7,000. So that freed up a lot. With my parents at that year and our $7,000 payment, we freed up almost $700 right there, not including all the credit cards that we paid off. So that was about September of 2020. And then this end of October, early November 2020, we paid off my first student loan, which was about $4,000. And then I got a work bonus, and that paid off with all the extra income that we were doing, all Christmas money that we were throwing to the second student loan, that we paid that off first week of 2021. So off to a great start. We're on our last student loan, and we're also cash flowing my husband going back to school. So that's our debt-free overview. How much we started with, where that debt came from, who we listened to, who were following what baby steps we're doing, and who do you follow? I want to know. Do you listen to Dave Ramsey still? And what was your highest amount of debt that you have?